To whom much is given, much is required. Part of that requirement is sharing. Culture is the heartbeat within our lives, and it's at the core of so many things. While we live in a time when we are starving for wisdom, I welcome you to your wisdom retreat at Culture Raises Us. Yes, my guys, so good to see today's guest. Joe FRESHGOODS is, for those who don't know, one of the more sought-after designers and creative directors within the fashion space right now. He's worked with the likes of McDonald's, AT&T, the Chicago Bears, and New Balance, to name a few. We met some years ago under some very, very interesting circumstances that I'm sure we'll touch on during this conversation. And I'm really, really super happy to have you here, my friend. Real talk for a number of reasons. And again, we'll get into that. But we always start these episodes off with, when you hear culture, what does that mean to you?
First off,
Absolutely.
I want to say thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. You're a good friend. I very appreciate you dearly. So it's an honor to be on your platform. Culture is one of those buzzwords where sometimes I don't really even like. It's just like culture and the diversity and stop. But you know, culture, honestly, man, like it represents a group of people. You know what I'm saying? It's culture can, I actually, with that being said, sometimes I have a hard time defining what culture means, but overall, it's the way we dance, it's the way we tie our shoes, it's how we eat our food. I saw this interesting post on social media floating around where it was like 20 different hot sauces, and it was just like everybody. I use this type of hot sauce on chicken. I use this type of hot sauce on fish, and I'm just like, that's culture. Because everybody can see that it's the same thing, but we all view it differently. So, culture is how a group of people, how we do our thing. That's whether it be Black culture, whether it be related to a religion, whether it be related to where you're from. It just represents how people do their thing. You know what I'm saying, in general.
Well, you know what? I've had the pleasure, again, of knowing you for some time, but for those of the listeners who haven't, give them a little sense about Joe FRESHGOODS. Who are you, bro?
Yeah. So Joe FRESHGOODS, I'm born and raised on the west side of Chicago. West side, we have Twisted Lupe. Damn,
y'all got a whole Chicago is a hotbed, bro.
Well, yeah, but we're very people don't know this when they're not from Chicago, but we're very because when growing up, for me, I stayed on the west side, so I never had a reason to go on the south side unless to visit some, my grandmother when she lived out there. But born and raised on the west side of Chicago. I am a entrepreneur. I am a designer. I'm a creative director. All those cool buzzwords that everybody say. I really, really, really give back to community, which I know we're going to touch on. I employ. I inspire. That's me. I've been doing this. Damn, can I say 20 years almost? Damn, I've been waiting for the wait. Yeah, I'm 20 years in, I can say. But yeah, I've been doing this since I was 14. It started off as a way to make some money as a hobby. I fell in love. I guess I'll tell this story as recently, like I fell in love with the color pink. As you see in most of the footwear projects I have coming out, it's always a pink shoe. But when Cameron first started wearing color pink, I think I was like 14, 15 or some shit like that. Dipset was running around Harlem and BT and all that. It was just a thing. So basically, I couldn't find anything pink in the market. So it wasn't like, I think it was like a White Sox pink hat that I found at the tops and bottoms. But before, I would have to make my own stuff. So it kind of started off as a way to make my own clothes. People in high school started liking what I wear, and I started to sell it, and here I am.
No, what's beautiful,
a lot of years
rightfully so. Yeah. And I had no clue about the inspiration behind pink. And now that I think back at every collection or every moment, even when working together, there was a pink element.
Yeah, it's just me. It dates back to me being a kid and the pink being related to a thing that's for women. But I'm like, I love pink. I love how pink and green look together. So I can't shake that. That's why a lot of my projects, it has always a dash of pink is
Yeah,
paying
but
homage
even
to me as a
look where that
kid.
came from, where you said Cam. And think about the time in which Cam did that. I
Yep.
mean, pink was not a prominent color within our palette, so to say. So I love
Yep.
that you've taken
Yep.
that and
Yep.
run with it. And you know what? I've literally watched your career and even listening to this point about the pink piece, grow very organically over the years. From seeing you do pop-ups at music festivals to then having your own major, like you say, footwear drops that literally put the industry in a frenzy. But throughout this, this culture of what I call evolution that I see in you and that you've created and that you've always remained very genuine, which I think is a huge value and trait. And I want to applaud you for that, real talk. And, I know that fashion obviously plays a very, very significant role in shaping culture as we know it. I mean, again, look how it influenced you from back in the day with the pink piece and Cam. But with all the collections and the brands and the companies that you've worked with over the years, was there a particular moment where you realized just how big and instrumental this fashion culture was to overall culture as we know it?
Man, great question. Great question. It's been so many different moments and like key points that like made me think that. I think not as of recently, this was like maybe 6 years ago, but I could take it back getting my first cease and desist, which is just like, wow, how do a big brand like Champion know that I exist? Then I can take it to doing a bootleg Kanye t-shirt and getting a cease and desist from his people. Like, damn,
Exists.
how do they even know I exist? So you have those moments. You have those moments where it's just like, wow, I'm making some new headlines and my shit is spreading. But I think as of recently, I think I don't know what year it was. I had to like fact check this after we stopped talking. But like I dropped the Thank You Obama collection. And retrospect, I try not to get into politics. That's grown me now. That has a lot to lose, and my views are my views. But I think I early on in my career, I really prided myself on I used to call myself like the hood CNN, like fashion CNN. So certain things were happening in life, and I would just like make a shirt about it quick. That was like my thing. You know what I'm saying? Like if anything happened in pop culture, Joe was going to make a funny shirt around it quick. And it was like pre-fast fashion. Now it's like that's kind of frowned upon, and I actually don't like shit like that. But like that's how I actually came up. It was just like document things happening and then fucking turn around and making a shirt out of it. So in Chicago, I can't speak for everywhere else around the world. I can't speak for the politics, But what I will say is the day that Obama got elected, the most lit I've ever seen Chicago. I mean, I was a shorty when the Bulls was winning the championships, but when Obama won, it was like thousands of people in the park. It was like everybody dapping each other up. It was like, it was a fucking moment. Are you fucking shitting me? It was like, holy shit, everybody just, man. So like, again, you can speak for the politics and the policies and what came out of there. That's, for another conversation. But, when he was out of office, I was like, you know what, let me just make a time capsule of his time in office with a little streetwear, capsule. And I didn't think none of it. Now I'm way more detailed with legal stuff and all that. But I was like, you know what, let me make a Malia t-shirt. Let me make a t-shirt paying homage to Michelle and her going to Whitney Young in Chicago. I really put my foot into every little piece. And Chance, one of my really good friends, he modeled it and I put it out and it changed my life. I think I don't want to talk about money and financials like too much, but I think this moment in my life online, I made like $10,000 every hour for like 2 days. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm just like, fuck. And it taught me fulfillment. It taught me
nimbleness.
It taught me, like, oh, this is how you run a business. So, and it went into the right hands. Malia ended up getting a T-shirt and loving it. I didn't get a cease and
It's
desist from the
dope.
Obamas. Um, it was a great moment, and it taught me about investment because that was a moment in time where I realized, like, damn, I don't need an investor. I
Mm.
just need ideas. So I think that was the moment that I had in my life where just, okay, cool. I have 80,000 orders to fulfill. It was just a lot. I learned a lot about business dropping that collection. And that was the first time where I was just like, okay, cool.
You
This
know,
is my
you know what? I
job for
love that you
real.
said.
This,
I realized that I didn't need investments, because I had amazing ideas. But I
yep.
think the other piece that you also had was the ability to execute. You executed on that
Yep.
idea in the moment, from a chronicling something that was so big, not just in Chicago, but just in general. But you being from there, that was like the epicenter. So it made it even more of a
Yeah.
moment. And it leads me to, asking, how did growing up in Chicago influence actually all of your approach to design?
Oh man, I think Chicago, we're very
Yeah.
we get flack, we it's a situation where I feel like a lot of the things that I'm doing now, especially in footwear, stems from me growing up in Chicago. And I think I needed a confidence that, oh, we all grew up like this. No matter if you're from Harlem, whether you from South Central, whether you
Uh-huh.
from, New Orleans, a lot of us grew up the same way, just different territories. And I think for me, man, just Chicago is just like, obviously
Uh-huh.
we grew up in Jordan City, you know what I'm saying? That's like my background, loving everything that the Bulls and Jordan, Nike, and what that means to the city. But like, I grew up in the Austin neighborhood, which is the second most dangerous neighborhood in Chicago. So,
Absolutely.
you know what comes with that. I hate when my mom watches my interviews. She be like, "Boy,
How about
you
that?
didn't grow up in no terrible household, so don't do that." Everybody be like, "I grew up from the gutter." I did not grow up from the gutter. You know what I'm saying? I just grew up around all of that, and it was stuff that we gang violence and all of that we was around. But shout out to my family. We grew up in a good household, and just like it shaped me, just learning how, I don't know, man. Like we had Madison and Pulaski, so
I
that was
remember
an
that. That's
epicenter of
right.
like shopping and getting fly. Yeah, yeah. So we had tops and bottoms, and just like the Lark, Man Alive, and all that stuff. So it was just like getting fly. You know what I'm saying? Understanding the importance of a lot of the urban brands that was around. Yeah, Chicago shaped. Everything I do now is based off Chicago. A lot of my storytelling, everything I do now is rooted in storytelling. So a lot of my storytelling now just all
Absolutely.
back goes back
And
to
you
Chicago.
talked about family, right, playing a role. And I'm wondering, are there other people
Mhm.
who early on played a significant positive role in getting your work out into the world?
Oh man, yes. So again, I think earlier I touched on like how Chicago sometimes can be so divided. I grew up on the West Side, and it wasn't really a reason for me to go out south growing up. But I will say what changed my
And
life was leaders.
Corey,
Um, I
amazing,
know
amazing
Corey.
human being, man.
He's gonna Corey. I'm shouting you out on the platform, so stop
We are
thinking that I
shouting
don't
you out,
fucking
Corey.
love
You're an
you.
amazing human being,
Uh,
bro.
yes, yes. Shout out to Corey Gilkey and leaders. I always thought I got fly, but going to, I think my uncle came home one day with a Monopoly T-shirt. I don't know what brand made it, but I'm just like, where the hell did you get that T-shirt? It wasn't Sean John. It wasn't Fat Farm. It wasn't
A major yet.
Nietzsche. It wasn't. You can get that anywhere. I was like, yo, that's a cool shirt. Where did you get that from? And he told me leaders, and the rest is history. I started working for
Uh-huh.
Fashion Geek in Chicago, which at the time was a really, really big brand. Then after that, I started working at Nike Town and Leaders. So, but I will say, shout out to my OGs, my good friends, Corey
Vic,
Gilkey, Vic Lloyd. I cannot be remiss
Vic.
not saying something without Vic. So, these are moments. This is when I turned like 19, 20. I started to get maybe a little earlier than that,
Uh-huh.
about 17, 18, I would say. I discovered a new world and a new language, and just like I was just like so intrigued by fashion from that
Yeah,
point
and
of view.
so, and I say it again.
Black Rita, Black Rita. So So my bad about that. So being a black retailer, that's what I meant. That's how I meant to end that off. Like being a black retailer selling cool shit that wasn't too urban. You know, I didn't know what streetwear really was, but I know this wasn't what I was used to seeing. So I think walking into Leaders, seeing that it was black owned, seeing it was cool brands that wasn't only spot that sold this stuff in the city. So
Yeah, and you know what?
that
And now
changed
that
my
I
life.
think about it, you know, when you think about what Corey created back then, Leaders was a very different door in that he had such a great eye and still does for merchandising, right? Like the
Yeah,
brands that he brought
yeah,
in was
yeah.
such a diverse mix, you know. And I think I remember going in there and he had like
Mm-hmm.
Jabot, but then I think he had an SB account, which was
Yep,
kind of unheard
yep,
of.
yep,
So
yep.
the melting of all these worlds, I could see being such a huge
Mhm,
influence for you, and now how that correlates
mhm,
into what you do from a design standpoint. But I definitely have to applaud to your
mhm.
point, you know, Corey for being the visionary that he is and creating the environment that he created. You can only have greatness come
Mhm,
from that. And so I love that you talk about that
mhm.
seed that was planted there and what it did for you. And you kind of mentioned,
Yeah, a
no,
lot
no.
of people get bigger. I'm sorry. A lot of people, I say this, a lot of people get bigger, and I see it happen without saying, I don't want to, that's what I'm glad I'm not drinking. I would have, well, but people get bigger and sometimes they forget where they came from. So as I continue to grow, you know, I'll be a bogus ass motherfucker if I didn't give thanks to
That's right.
everybody that played a part in me right now. So I think they just celebrated 20
Rightfully
or
so.
25 years, which is crazy. You know, yeah, you know how
Absolutely.
crazy it is in retail. So, uh, you know, so I just want to make sure I give a big shout out to Leaders and Vic and what they built, Tad, Vic, Mike Hunnits, because that they shaped a whole generation of people in my age group that
Yeah, they
knew
were
that
super
anything was possible.
inspiring. And I think they too have a huge focus and emphasis on community. And you mentioned that
Yep.
earlier. And I'd love for you to talk about the role that community plays and played in your journey within Chicago and beyond.
Yep. Community, man. Another buzzword that I love and hate, but it is what it is. Okay, so I mean, you know, I'm just really big on just making sure I give back, you know. I'm really big
Mhm.
on making sure I'm present. You know, I'm really big on making sure that I hire within the community. Um, I I would say I think as I've gotten older, I have 2 kids now, so I think what I like to tell people is that you can look back at my catalog. That's why I'm not one of those people that get another type of success and
Right.
then delete my Instagram. So you guys think that I only came from I started off here. I'm probably going to start deleting it now that I'm saying this, but like you can literally go back on Instagram, keep scrolling, and you can see
And
where
people
I
should.
started off
They
at
should be able to
from
see
the
that. They
internet
got to
era.
see the journey.
Yeah, but you know how it is. Like I'm about to drop an album, so let me delete all my
Yeah.
old stuff and just like make you know. I don't really believe in that because I want these kids to know that you know that
Absolutely.
you can make it. You know, so I just think you know it's important for me to just be present in the city. I think I'm very proud that you know I have about 20 employees now, which
That's
is
awesome.
crazy when I say it out loud to think. I've still you know I've been able to grow this brand in Chicago. You know, I didn't have to run. This is no shots to nobody. I didn't have to
Okay.
run to New York or LA. You know, I did this in my hometown, and so that's another big thing I'm proud of. And just you know, I grew up in CPS, a Chicago public school system, and it's just like I just think these kids need
Yep.
recognizable, relatable heroes. Um, and for me, it's just like you know, I want to use my platform for good. I think sometimes um, it's a heavy it's a it, it weighs on me when I see people lined up for my
Why?
shoes. I think it's two parts to this, right? Okay. First part is the pandemic, right? I'm like, fuck, if I can sell 300 tees in a couple minutes, what
That's
else can
right.
I do with that power? You know what I'm saying? Um, and you know, during the pandemic was a lot of businesses suffering. So I think that's when I was like, okay, fuck it, I got to do something. So I think in 2020, that's when I decided to, hey, I'm about to make this T-shirt. This T-shirt goes to this cause. You know, I did another program where I had my daughter. paint some support Black businesses. I got that vectorized. I put that on the shirt, and I think I raised like 20 grand, and I like split that up between like 5 different businesses in Chicago. So I was doing stuff like that, fucking up my taxes. I just have a good heart. I didn't understand the magnitude of what I was doing and what that was causing. So I decided to turn my good deeds into a nonprofit. So now I have Community Goods. We've been a 501c3 for about 2.5 years now. And that's my baby. You know what I'm saying? I think again, I'm very proud of the growth. I wouldn't have think in a million years that I would have a nonprofit and be able to like use my platform to have brands help me make change and do and just reinvest back in my community. So that's been going on for 2.5 years. I just a quick plug. We have Michelle Clark High School on the west side of Chicago. I built me and the Blackhawks. Let me not say the Black. We in the Blackhawks, we built a school store inside with just some of the stuff, goodies and stuff. So it just incentivized kids to good deeds, good grades, perfect attendance, and it's just cool stuff like that. I want to make sure that I'm gonna feel weird if I'm just selling stuff to my community.
You're not a transactionalist. That's a
yeah. No, and again, you know what did it? I'll tell you what did it. I dropped I dropped this shoe. I dropped this shoe in 2020, right? This wasn't planned. It was just sitting behind me. I did that in Garfield Park in Chicago. I was like, you know what? I'm tired of all this raffle stuff. Raffles and you know what I'm saying? You got to do 3 flips to get a shoe and all that. Let me bring back first come, first serve. Fuck it. Let me do it in my hood.
Yeah.
Woo. I announced the address to where the pop-up was at the morning of. I did everything right. At 10 a.m. it was like 2,000 people outside. And for a New Balance shoe. I didn't think there was going to be that. So I was underprepared, understaffed, and it went terrible. But what I want to say is having that power scared me. You know what I'm saying? And it just made me want to just be more careful with
your gift.
My power and influence. Right? So if I can have 2,000 people line up for a sneaker, imagine what I can do with that type of energy. So I think that's the single-handedly big thing that kind of changed me and made me be, obviously as my pie chart, I'm design, storytelling, but like a lot of that shit is community. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure that a lot of my design lingo and a lot of my, what I'm trying to do is intentional.
That's the word I was going to use. It is very intentional and very purpose-driven. I think you went through a journey of realizing that your gifts were to be used for something way bigger than you and way bigger than just a transaction. And I'm so glad you said that because the level of hero that you becomes even more significant than that of you just pushing a bunch of capsule collections, footwear drops. It's way deeper for you right now and way more impactful, which is so awesome. And with that, as you go through that journey, I wonder who you turn to though for guidance in those moments, right? Because you can learn that on your own, but there's also moments where some people got to kind of guide you and help you. Do you have like a brain trust or a group that you can, or individuals that you can count on to kind of help guide you through this? Trusted editors, I almost call them.
You know what? I get asked this, and I'm just like, I don't want to make it sound like I'm forgetting somebody, but I don't think I do. Like I have certain people, like shout out to Corey Gilkey. It's a lot of stuff. He's been in business for 30 years now, so it's certain things I can ask him. But I don't know, man. It's something beautiful. There's something beautiful about continuing to learn. I don't look at my staff like coworkers. I don't look at my staff like employees. That's what I meant to say. They're my brain trust. You know what I'm saying? I don't really, because what I'm doing is kind of unorthodox. You know what I'm saying? Like we're doing really well. I'm in a big market, but not the big,
you're like you're the meat. You're the meat to the sandwich.
Like I have nobody to answer to. I don't. Like I own 100% of my company. Um, how I attack collaborations, I don't have no manager. You know what I'm saying? I just have a good lawyer, a good team, and just, a good
Nice.
family system, I would say. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't really I wish I did. And like, I have certain people in my life when it's about real estate questions or tax things, but like, I mean, for the most part, I got a good accountant, I got a good lawyer. So like, it's not,
Your
that's
family.
my team. It's really my team. We're
Your
still
family.
on the fly. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
how would you categorize, your approach to design, and how has it evolved as you've become even more experienced as a designer over the years?
Man, I think
Yep.
for me, it's storytelling first. What's the story behind this? And so I figure out what story I'm trying um, to tell. Then after that, it's
Mm-hmm.
color story. You know, and then it goes to design. I'm very big on quietly pushing
Mm.
Black history on people without
Right.
Black flagging you to death. You know what I'm saying? I think I just did a great. I'm very, very, very proud of my Vans collection I just dropped because it talks about the Green Book and it talks about Black people and what is leisure, and because I think real life experiences. I'm all over the world. I'm in Japan having a pop up shop. I'm in Paris having a pop up shop. I'm all over the world, and it's like I'm not gonna say I'm starting to feel like I don't know. I'm just very fucking grateful, and sometimes I like think to myself like, damn man, it wasn't
No.
like this 70 years ago. You know what I'm saying? It was the beaches that was designated only Black people
Mm-hmm.
can go to these beaches, only can sit in these restaurants. So the Vans collection I just did was a great example of me. Like, if every little detail. The T-shirt bag was the Green Book bag. It said no aggravation without. It was just like I do a lot of things where, and maybe I'll tell this story once my career is over with. But it's a shit ton
Mm.
of Easter eggs in all my stuff. Everything I do is like hidden. You got to look at the pocket. You got to open up the sleeve. Or a message to my daughter. But a lot of things I do is just like, okay, storytelling. This is my storytelling. This is the color theory. This is my hidden messages. All right, let's work on clothes now. Let's put all this stuff up. Let's work on actual clothes. And I think now, I think like that coming up.
No,
How can I fucking
absolutely.
have viral moments?
No, it's
I want
even richer
everything to be.
now.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. So I mean, yeah, I just want to go back to the statement. Everybody just watched me grow up. I've been making teas since I was 14. And now I'm 30. Yeah, I'm 36. But um, so I just think that people just been watching me grow. You know what I'm saying? One of my first fuck man, I just sounds so really messy and just terrible. I don't even think I'm gonna say this, but
Yeah.
I had a beanie, and people can Google this. I had a beanie that came out in 2009. Um, very vulgar beanie, but that went viral, and I'm just like some of my older stuff. I'm like, God damn, I can't believe I made that. But
Exactly.
also,
And you were
streetwear
in a
was in a
different
different
place.
time. I would say yes, but I'm just proud that
And you know
everybody's
what?
watched me grow
Part of
up.
the growing up is the evolution. And that's what I started with, right? And why you
Yeah.
exemplify for me this culture of evolution. And when I hear you talk about your storytelling, which I know is the richness that you're very passionate about and comes through in everything that you do, there's a beauty of you are almost like a modern day educator. And what I mean by that is, when we were coming up, there weren't a lot of outlets to learn outside of what you were taught in school, outside of what you were taught within your home,
Yeah.
or what you found in libraries or encyclopedias. I know these things sound so ancestral for certain people, but now we have all these different lanes and opportunities, and we have storytellers and creatives like yourself that
Okay.
utilize your platform and your canvas to paint these pictures that, yeah, everybody loves the finish of it, right? Because it looks fly and they want to wear it. But the beauty of it
Yeah.
evolves when they find out the in-depth storytelling that you provide on that and the learnings that can come from that. You're providing and feeding people with
Okay.
food in a way that they're going to consume it, and they're going to be educated and more
Hmm.
informed to then be a better version of themselves and become a better what? Community. So all that you're doing ties
Yep.
right back in to one another, makes so much sense. And I'm so happy that you're going through this process of evolution to get to this point, to be able to do this. So
Yep.
no, please.
I
And
appreciate it.
when I talk about the rise, I want to talk about the rise of other independent product creators and designers. And why are we seeing such a movement behind figures such as yourself? Because I think there's a lot of these independents that are showing up, which I think is great. But I'd love for you to provide your POV on why you think this is happening at such a rate that it is, and what makes this climate so ripe for it, right? And why are brands so much more open now? Brands are way more open to partner with the likes of yourself. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it goes back to community, it goes back to culture, it goes to the internet. A lot of the up and coming brands that don't have really big backings, what we do have is the support of our communities. Where you have certain brands that's huge that have a hard time selling certain items and hitting certain projections. Meanwhile, you have these pockets of brands in California, in Chicago, and New York where they might not be on everybody's radar, but truth be told, they drop something, they can make $1 million a day on Shopify. People wouldn't even know. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one thing that I think is associated with these independent pop-up shops, and the internet brought a lot of people together. I know that sounds crazy because people need to go back outside and experience. I come from a generation of real life and internet. It just is what it is. So I see both sides of it. But I think for me, even prior to signing with New Balance, we didn't know that it was going to happen. I was coming off of a bad situation with another brand, and it was Complex Con was in Chicago, and I think New Balance, a couple guys were in town from New Balance, and they were just trying to see who got the city on lock. All-Star Weekend 2020, what's happening in Chicago. They were just doing some market research. Let's see who actually got Chicago on lock. And I know, again, I look at myself like currency. I'm like an underground rapper. If you know, you know. If you don't, I'm not offended. I love being in the position I am. But they came to Chicago. They came to Complex Con.
That's right.
I'm the fucking mayor. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know, you don't. But they saw I had a line all day. I had 4 of the booths with my other brands. Though all my brands had lines. You know what I'm saying? And it was so there's not one of those things that you can quantify if you don't know. You have to be there to see it. I think that's with me and a lot of other brands, they popping. So I think really we just in a different time. We in a different time where a lot of brands can cultivate their own communities. A lot of brands, you don't really need a lot of big brands too, because again, I want to talk about, I know a couple brands that's probably not on a lot of people's radar. They drop a t-shirt, they're doing 400,000 in a drop. You know what I'm saying? When a brand come their way, yo, we want to sign y'all, we gonna give y'all the bullshit deal, they can look at what they done without the brand, and they be like, we don't need that. Back in the day, I'm not gonna say no names. It's my whole title of this podcast. Joe's not gonna say no names. But, I was telling one of my OGs that I got Adidas collab, and they paying me. He was like, they paying you? We did a collab with Adidas, and then back in the early 2000s, you were just happy to get 30 shoes. So you can pay for that. You better be grateful. I was a little offended by that because, what you mean I better be grateful? They damn near, they paying me, for my service. So I just think the times have changed. We have more access to information, and it just makes it easier for a brand to say no to certain stuff because we have our own community that's going to support us.
I think in that there's this realization of your value, right? We're in a place where we're realizing our value and our significance and the authenticity around it, which is a beautiful, beautiful, empowering thing on so many levels. Because just think about the people who look like you, like me, or us, and look up or to us, what that does for them. That's inspiration. That's
Mm-hmm.
inspiration that helps unlock the
Yep.
greatness within them to think, oh, I could do that too then. I got these ideas, these things that I want to do or I want to bring to the world that
Okay.
I too can get after, which is beautiful. And so I love
Mm-hmm.
that picture that you painted on the time that we're in now, right? And the why with these young creators being able to do it on their own. For you, is there a golden era
Okay.
though of fashion that you can look back on or think that this was a moment that just set everything off? Different from the question I asked you earlier for you, right? It's like, but from a fashion standpoint, is there, or was there a golden era?
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. And I mean, I know you can speak to a lot of this part, but what I will say is, I know that there's this whole topic now, streetwear is dead and high fashion is ruining streetwear, and you hear so many, you know, buzzwords and just titles of. But what I will say is one thing that I would say about 2005 for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know everybody have different but for me from like 2005 to like 2011. Oh my God, it was just like, oh, you got on the hundreds? You got on hundreds? Like, oh shit,
Mm,
we're part of a community. Oh, you got on BBC? Where the hell did you get that BBC from? We're part of a community. Um, this is before, obviously it was the internet was around, but it was just like so in its infant stages of what it was going to become. But you had to search a little bit more to be an
mhm.
individual, I would say. You know what I'm saying? So if you go to a party, you can kind of point out those individuals at this party that's on the same type of shit I'm on. Oh, okay, cool. He got
Mhm.
on SBs. Cool. He got on the starter hat. Cool. He's rocking
Yeah,
fucking it was just like those. So like that was I don't know. We're never gonna get that again. But that era of just like we on like minded shit. Cause oh, you got on babe. You
that's
got to
right.
get that from that website. Like oh shit, it's fake. It was just like access was just so denied, but it was kind of cool. So it just like you were able to make friends with people, and I'm talking about from a working at leaders with the kids that work at St. Alfred, with the kids that work at RSVP. It was just like we sharing what we heard about stores in Japan. Like we sharing like who got the best denim right now. We sharing like you heard that Pharrell got a fucking
Mhm.
waffle bag, and over there we got a cop. It was just like shit was so cool and pure, and I think internet ruined that. You know what I'm saying? Because you could just
That's right.
buy the shit on Grailed, or you could just like it's just easier now. So that golden era of just like friendships because of fashion
Yeah,
was just like
I
ill.
think part of that, you mentioned something about accessibility. I think to your point, everything wasn't accessible then. Like I remember you literally had to go to Japan to get
Yeah.
babes. And there was
Yep.
there was a
Yep.
whole
Yep.
experience around procuring that was different. And you're right, when you saw somebody else with them, it was like an
Yep.
instant connection. Oh, you get it. You get down. When did you go to Japan to get yours, or where did you get yours from? And it was almost like a love language,
Yep.
right? Which is amazing.
Yep.
So I felt every moment
hmm
of that era that you're talking about and that mindset. On the business side, what are the biggest business lessons that you've learned in your pursuit of bringing your design vision to work to the world?
Oh man, I could talk 3 hours about that, man. I mean, it's a lot, man. Um, Working with brands, right? Like even how a sneaker deal is worked out, like right, like um design fee versus royalties versus having the money to
Mhm.
purchase your shoes. What accounts get your product? Um, how do you scale? Okay, cool. Now I can sell 20,000 shoes. Damn, now it's a business
That's right.
of selling 20,000 shoes. Now I need a warehouse to warehouse the 20,000 shoes. Now I need a team that can ship the 20,000 shoes. Now I
That's
need the
right.
capital
That's
to
right.
pay for 20,000 shoes. So become independent. I'm super independent. Still, I want to preach
That's
that. Not
right.
saying it's the right thing for everybody, but the more people I talk to, like, then you got full partners. No, not me. Um, but I think that's a whole part of the game. Learning, um, employees like you know, as we grow, you got to think about it. Now everybody looking around like, okay, now it's raise time.
Yeah.
Now it's time to like the art of negotiating
That's
with
right.
people that you love. Hard. That shit, like
That's right.
nobody prepared me for that. You know, so learning how to be a good boss. That's, you know, because you can't be Joe Fresh
Not
Goods
at all.
isn't just me. You know, I'm just Joe. I'm Joe of Joe Fresh Goods. I gotta get my art team, my production team, my commercials. That's a whole team. So, you know, I want to be the best boss I can be, and that, you know, that you I'm a creative, you know, because some that's why you see all these stories come out. Not gonna say no names of all these people being, you know, coming out as being terrible leaders, because you know you can't just take care of yourself when you're trying to continue something that has legs to grow. You know, I could have took a lot of money that I've earned from my brand. I could have bought Ferraris and chains and all that shit, but nah, let me reinvest that back in my company. Let me continue to look at my employees and identify those that deserve a raise. Let me continue to hire. Let me get a COO. Let me go. These are
That's
things
right.
that I didn't know I needed. The fuck is a COO? What's a CMO? Why am I paying for that? But in order to continue to grow, you need those
That's
things
right.
to be successful. So I think, what do you mean I need to pay my accountant this much a month for what?
No.
Fuck IRS.
No.
No.
Good for you.
No. So it's just like those are things that we are not often taught. You know, I wanted to make viral clothes. I wanted to make cool shoes. And the fact that I am deciding to be independent, it is a lot of pressure on me, and there's a lot of more work on me and my team because, again,
Yeah.
it's me and my team, you know. So, but, you know, it's a lot of big different lessons. I could talk about brand deals. I could talk about, you know, it's a lot, but overall, it's been a
No,
big, huge journey.
that's exactly what it is, right? It's a journey, and I go back to the word of evolution, and you're continuing to evolve. And I hope you don't put too
Mm-hmm.
much pressure on yourself in terms of not knowing what you don't know, because you're going to be a constant
Mm-hmm.
work in progress, and you're going to continue to learn and be informed of new things. So this is not going to stop. You just have an awareness and a tolerance to be open to learning and growing from it. So that's the beauty. And you have to continue in that space, because it's only going to help you and everyone around you become better. And we need you to be open to that growth. So I'm happy that you're going through this process. And within that, you know, like you said, there's been so many products and things that you've worked on. I wonder, is there a holy grail
Mm-hmm.
of a product category or brand that you would love to have the opportunity to eventually work on or with?
Oh, wow. I didn't read that question.
Look, we
I
got to
would
keep
add
you
it.
on your toes. And this is also the art of manifestation.
Yeah.
We're going to put these words into the universe.
Yeah. Not even to being too trendy. I want to be at a big fashion house
Okay.
in about 2 years. I've been spending the last 2 years really fine tuning my cut and sew program. I'm amazed how far t-shirts, hats, and hoodies took me, but I'm very intrigued, and it's my passion to give the world some of my ideas via furniture or via different type of objects that's non-apparel. So I think, you know, over the next 2-3 years, people are going to see Joe Fresh Goods from just different
Love that.
categories, you know. But that's the big thing, I think, is just like, because I mean, I've worked with, like, now, to be honest with you, now, I don't really do too many collabs, you know, because it's just like the power of, you know, the power of saying no. I think early on, I did a lot because I just wanted to get in the door. But now that I'm in that door, relatively speaking, I get to be very picky about what my name is on, you know. And I think just touching on that a little bit more, just so, you know, people and young kids can understand. Like, I tell this story all the time. I've in 2021 actually, when every brand was just like super, we need to find Black designers and we need to find ways to give back, and, you know, I got some of the biggest offer of my life. to do
Mm-hmm.
some bullshit. I'm very proud of myself and my team for turning a lot of that stuff down, all of it down, really. I wanted to focus on partners that really believe in me, partners that
Mm-hmm.
invested in my growth. And that's all I really care about. I think what's meant to happen will happen. I love where I'm at right now. It's a few brands that I would love to do something with, but I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever come my way
No,
is
whatever
supposed to
God
come
has
my
for
way.
you, whatever
Big
God
firm
has for you,
believer.
and I see Him
Exactly.
continuing to work for you, and you being able to, be a vessel of His work, which
Okay.
is beautiful. And outside of, are you inspired by others outside of the industry? Is there anybody that you're inspired by?
Outside of the industry, um, damn, because I hate when artists say they're not inspired by nobody, because that's some bullshit. You're not inspired by nobody. I mean, of course, I'm inspired by certain people, business. I'm inspired by, like, perfect example. I'm really inspired by how, like, LeBron
Mm,
and Randy and Rich and, like the fuck all y'all, like, you I watched the old clip of them, like, in like a BET Rap City clip of or something like that, of just all them young as hell. LeBron was saying, like, this is my
that's
accountant,
right.
this my manager, and they all still making money together.
And on their own.
Um,
And on
so,
their own.
like, exactly, exactly. So, like, it be moments like that. I'm inspired by how certain people do business. Um, I'm inspired by how certain people conduct themselves. Um, yeah, but it's really random though. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I pay attention to trends and what's happening in the world. But no, it's not really a person. It's more so moments
Yeah.
or how people act, or it be little moments like that where it's just like, oh, that's inspired. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to apply that over to what we have going on, or So yeah, it's been things like that coming up. Being inspired by Black-owned brands. You know what I'm saying? In this
Mhm.
the fashion industry. You know what I'm saying? I tell James Whitney this story all the time, but like I remember be walking around Magic Trade Show, like just looking at all the big dogs, like hoping one day they'll, like, I'll be in these rooms to be able to talk to them and shit. So it's like I just remember a lot of people that's like peers now that I was just like
That's
snotty
right.
nose running behind them trying to figure out how they doing what they doing. Now
And
I'm
I'm
like
so
in those
glad you
rooms with
brought up
them. So
James because I
you
think
know,
he's another example of somebody who's doing amazing, amazing work in this space and being a reflection of
Mhm.
change and using his platform as
Yeah,
well to kind of shape that
yeah,
in a really, really
yeah.
beautiful and more importantly, authentic way. Unapologetically, doing it
Yeah.
on his terms, and his terms
Mhm.
being the terms of ensuring that the right stories are being told and the right people are being utilized
Mhm.
and highlighted. It really is a
Mhm.
beautiful thing. So I want to applaud him as well. But the
Yes.
LeBron example that you gave,
Yes.
we've talked about. I had another guest talk about that some time ago, and I'm hoping a story is done on that one day. Outside of all the amazing
Mhm.
accolades around LeBron from on court and off court, I think one of the beautiful things is the rise of the unit together, right? And
Mhm.
how
Yep.
the unit remained throughout the journey and the learning process. Nobody was dropped off
Mhm.
because they
Yep.
made a mistake or because they didn't have all the tools and we can get somebody else who has all the tools and experience. It was like, no, let us all take the time to be able to acquire that and continue to be a work in progress to
Mhm.
develop. So I'm so glad that you said that as an inspiration to you, because I'm sure as you're building your team, the hope is that you're taking that same mindset into pouring into your team, which is
Yep.
awesome. So, we
Yep.
usually
Thank
close the session with a question around, we use analogy of seeds and, planting of seeds and watering them. And you talked
Mhm.
about so many different seeds that inspired you. I would love to get from you, what are the 3 seeds that you'd want to leave with the stewards of culture moving forward? Like those 3 important things that you think would be critical.
Man,
Mm,
I would say ownership,
mm,
love, and family,
Absolutely.
and I'm
No,
speaking for
absolutely.
myself. So leading with ownership, leading with love, and leading with your family. And family could be
That's right.
doesn't
That's
have to be
right.
blood. You know what I'm saying? Family could be your team. Family could be your community. Love is just your heart. I think that God blesses
Mm,
people that bless others. Um, so for me, it's just like those are three things. You know, I value ownership to a fault. You know, I want as much equity as I can. So I think all three of those things for me are really key to
I love it.
success and just
I
growth.
love it. Well, Joe, listen, man, I'm so grateful that you came on, and I will share this story that when I reached out to you, it was no hesitation from you to be on this and be a part of this, even though you made mention that you don't do podcasts for the reasons that you don't. And I appreciate and value you for coming on and sharing in this space because you know the goal of this platform. And so with that, I've even learned a little bit more about you today, and my respect level, and more importantly, my support level for you has risen. Because since the day we met, it was from a place of, I got to help him. I got to help him. And I'm going to
Mhm.
continue to be here to do that. And I'm going to continue to ask you to continue to be the reflection of all the great things that you represent and the three seeds that you just mentioned, and know that I'm here to continue to help you.
I appreciate that. You've been a very good friend. You know, you helped me out in need. I don't know if you know, but it's not that it doesn't happen that much, you know, and I've been signed with everybody. So I think um, whoever call, you ever need anything, I'm always going to be there for you because you was there for me and my team when we needed somebody like you.
Appreciate you,
So I
bro.
super appreciate you.